What's up, guys? Open Ice Hits with Scotty 2 Hockey. Let's talk Habs, and today let's talk about my projected lineups for the Montreal Canadiens coming into this playoff round, again, play-in round to get into the playoffs, I should say, against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, some of my depth lines may be a bit controversial. It's not biased. It's just what I see would help the team the most in these playoffs. I know one player who I demoted to the fourth line. A lot of fans may be up in arms over. A lot of fans will probably disagree with. And I'm not doing it as disrespect to the player. I'm just doing it as the way I think he could help the team best in this playoffs. And another player who I think, even though he had a lackluster year this year, has already shown to Habs fans there's a lot more to his game. And even though he had a lackluster year, he shouldn't be on the fourth line, especially not in the playoffs. So let's get into it. Some of you guys may disagree with this. Some of you guys may agree with it. The top six, I think, is pretty solid. I think you guys, it's pretty straightforward. I think most of you guys will agree with it. But the depth lines, I think there may be a bit of controversy amongst some Habs fans. Some may disagree, some may agree. So I'm just giving that disclaimer right now. I'm not doing it as disrespect to the player. I love all these players equally. They're all Habs. They're all playing for the Blue, Blanc, and Rouge, and we all want to see them go far and win a Stanley Cup at some point in their career. But line number one should be a no-brainer to anybody. We got Thomas Tatar, who had 22 goals, 39 assists, 61 points, and was a +5. We have Philip Deneau at center. I should say Thomas Tatar was the left wing. We have Philip Deneau at center, 13 goals, 34 assists, 47 points with a +18. We have Brendan Gallagher at the right wing, 22 goals, 21 assists, 43 points, and a +9. And if you hear a little bit of background noise, guys, I'm sorry, my landlord's out mowing my lawn. Worst possible time to be doing it, but I'm after working an hour, so I had to get this video done as soon as I can. I want to get it done as soon as I can to get it out there on the channel and get some new content out there for you guys. Now, what I had written down for this line is, it's a no-brainer. This should be Montreal's top line for this playing round against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Individually, they are good, but together, they are great. They are one of the best 5-on-5 lines in the league and definitely get my vote personally as the hardest working line in the NHL. Tatar had an outstanding year this year, leading the team in points, overperforming overall. He led the team in points and goals. Galley was on pace for another 30-goal year until he got injured, and he still possibly could have hit 30 goals even with the injury. And Deneau showed he's an excellent defensive center who can still score and be a good secondary scoring center on your top line for sure. Behind Thomas Tatar, he was second on the team in points. This line will not only be dependent on to put up the majority of the team's offense like they did this year, they will also be relied on to shut down Sidney Crosby and the Pens top line, which especially in the playoffs is no easy task. So as for the top line, it should be a no-brainer to anybody. Brendan Gallagher, Thomas Tatar, Philip Deneau, one of the best 5-on-5 lineups in the league, and in my opinion, they definitely get my vote as the hardest working 5-on-5 lineup in the league, and players who are all overperforming what they were expected to do in Montreal this year and last year compared to what they're doing. They're definitely overperforming. And then we go into the second line. I have Max Domi as the left wing. He had 17 goals, 27 assists, 44 points, and he was a -3. Then we go into Nick Suzuki, who had a phenomenal rookie year for the Habs. It kind of sucks the season got cut short. I would have liked to see if he could have hit 50 points. I think he would have hit 50 points personally. Suzuki had 13 goals, 28 assists, and 41 points, and was a -6. And then we had Jonathan Drouin, who was on fire until he got injured, and when he came back from the injury, he was pretty lackluster. I had to put him on this lineup. I'll explain why. We have Jonathan Drouin at the right wing. He had 7 goals, 8 assists, 15 points. The majority of that came before he got injured, and he was a -15. No surprise he's a minus. Drouin definitely has his flaws on the defensive end, and he definitely takes some dumb penalties too. Although they didn't play on a line together as a unit the entire year, these players complement each other well and have played together off and on the majority of the season and got a good feel for each other's game for sure. Some may question me having Suzuki playing center on the line over Domi, but it's clear this kid is a natural center. Suzuki thrived this year and looks poised to be a big part of Montreal's future success. Both Domi and Drouin will be looking to bust out and make a huge impact after a lackluster year by their standards. If Drouin can play like he did before he got injured, he alone could carry this line and really bring the best out of Max Domi. Offensively, for sure, he could bring the best out of Max Domi, Nick Suzuki, just like he did in Tampa. Anybody who follows Jonathan Drouin, he was absolutely fire in the playoffs his last year in Tampa. I believe it was Stamkos who got injured, and Drouin stepped into a major role on one of the lines, and he had 17 points. It was either 17 or 14. It was some excellent amount of points, and he was absolute fire. He had an amazing overtime goal. That's one of the best highlights in the NHL, always will be. That's what created so much hype when he came to Montreal. Jonathan Drouin was so popular after that playoff run. Then we go into line 3, and this is where the controversy starts for sure. This is where some fans are going to disagree for sure. I can 100% guarantee you not all Habs fans are going to agree with this, because Lehkonen is a lot of Habs fans' boy. He's a hard worker. He's a type of guy who's a heart and soul player. But when it comes to the playoffs and offensive ability and what I think he can do for the team, I don't think he would help the team as much as a playing to his best of ability, Paul Byron. He needs to play up to his ability. He had a rough year. He definitely has something to prove. Paul Byron's the type of player who plays with a chip on his shoulder, and I feel Paul Byron deserves to be the third line left wing over Artturi Lehkonen. Hear me out. I'll explain why. We got Paul Byron at the left wing, who only had 4 goals, 6 assists, and 10 points, but he only played 29 games this year, and he was a +5. He's excellent defensively, excellent penalty killer as well, And then at center, we have Jake Evans, who had 2 goals, 1 assist in 13 games played. He also had 3 points, of course, and he was a +1. Yoel Armia at right wing should be a no-brainer. Yoel Armia is going to be the third line right wing. Some people may even have him in the top 6. 16 goals, 14 assists, 30 points, and a +2 for one of my favorite players on the Montreal Canadiens, Yoel Armia. Unlike the top 6, the depth roles for the third and fourth lines are really, really much harder to put together. With KK injured and Thompson traded, there's an obvious hole at center for the third and fourth line spots. And after a decent showing in the games he's played this year and a good record in Laval, I think Jake Evans definitely deserves a chance to be the third line center. And it also saddens me to say that Yoel Armia should be the third line right wing. And it's not because I don't think he is good enough. It's because I think he is well deserving of a top 6 role, but you cannot justify putting Yoel Armia on a top 6 line over Jonathan Drouin. He just doesn't deserve to be there over Drouin. Armia's size, aggression, and ability to control possession will be well needed for the Montreal Canadiens in these playoffs, because they do not have a lot of players who does that. And my most controversial move of all the lines has to be putting Paul Byron ahead of Artturi Lehkonen in the lineup. I feel Byron is hungry and has a point to prove. After how this year went for him, Lehkonen hasn't shown the ability to finish big plays and score the way Byron has when he's on his game. Byron has better speed, he has more experience, and in my opinion is better suited to provide depth scoring to the third line than Artturi Lehkonen is. I would like to see Artturi Lehkonen, who is better suited in a checking, penalty-killing role, and that's just my opinion. People are going to disagree with it. I know Artturi Lehkonen is an energy guy. He helps create offense with the turnovers he makes. He's good defensively. He kills penalties. But when Paul Byron's on his game, he can score 20 goals. He can finish big plays. He brings a ton of speed. He brings a ton of offensive ability. And I feel the third line isn't primarily a checking line. You want the third line to provide you with some offense as well. And I feel as far as offensive ability goes and helping the third line thrive offensively, I feel Paul Byron will be better suited in that third line role for these playoffs. If he played like he played this year, if he played like when he was struggling, because there were games this year where he looked really good, but after he came back from injury, he struggled. If he plays like he's struggling, if he really struggles, then you can definitely put Lehkonen in his place. Then you can definitely switch it up. But me personally, I would just like to see what Paul Byron does, because he's the type of guy who plays with a chip on his shoulder. I guarantee you the way this year went for him has really let him down, and this could be redemption for a player like Paul Byron. You could put him on that third line, and he could bust out and majorly help this team. Look at what he, prior to the season, look at what Paul Byron did in the first 10 games of the other 2 seasons. He was the leading scorer for Montreal, or he was in the top 2 or 3 leading scorers for Montreal after the first 10 games in both seasons for sure. He really stood out to me. And then we get to line 4. Line 4, it's not a huge deal for the Habs right now. They're going to be a team that's top line heavy, that's going to play their top 6 a lot. Yes, line 4 will play, but I don't think they're going to have as much of an impact as the top 3 lines will play. They won't play close to what the top 3 lines will, put it that way. And in line 4, we got at the left wing, Jordan Weal, who had 8 goals, 7 assists, 15 points and was a -8. Outside of Lehkonen, it was pretty slim pickings for line 4. Nate Thompson's been traded. Jesperi Kotkaniemi is currently nursing an injury. Ryan Poehling, his play this year just doesn't dictate a spot in this play-in round, in my opinion. You could have him there as a guy who could fill in if somebody gets hurt, but I don't think Ryan Poehling deserves it over a Jake Evans, deserves it over even a Charles Hudon, who did much more than what Poehling did this year. Because when you look at the numbers, he really did do much more than what Poehling did this year. He played way less games, and he had double the points. He only had 2 points, but it's still double the points. And just what he did for the team, he just looked better out there than what Poehling did. It's just my personal opinion. So we got Jordan Wheel, who had 15 points and was a -8. At center, instead of Poehling, I have Charles Hudon. We're going to give Charles Hudon another chance. That's just me. People can disagree with it if they want. Who had 1 goal, 1 assist, and 2 points. And I believe he only played I never wrote down the amount of games played, but he didn't play a lot of games, put it that way. And the most controversial move of the entire video, the most controversial move of all my lines, I said it from the get-go, and it definitely, without a doubt, is we have Artturi Lehkonen as the 4th line, right wing. He had 13 goals, 14 assists, 27 points, and was a +2. But if he had better finishing ability, if he could score more, he should have 23 goals. He should have 50 points. Artturi Lehkonen is better than what these numbers dictate. He just doesn't have that finishing ability, and maybe putting him on the 4th line, starting this playing round, will light a fire under his ass. He'll start scoring some goals. He'll move his way up the lineup, and by the time the playoffs are done, if Montreal does have some success, he could be in the top 6. He could be a key part of their success. This could really, really light a fire under a player like this. But as for the 4th line, I wrote down, there isn't a lot to say about the 4th line other than Wheel and Hudon have shown they can be a lot better than they were this year. Their play this year doesn't dictate the type of players I feel that they are, and I truly feel bad putting Artturi Lehkonen on the 4th line. A great, talented guy with potential top 6 forward written all over him, putting him on the 4th line, but his offensive ability to finish needs some work, and I feel his aggressiveness, ability to create turnovers, and overall energy could make this an overperforming 4th line that actually helps the team. Like, a lot of 4th lines do not do a lot for teams in the playoffs. Some do. I'm not going to hate on 4th lines. Some guys want their goons out there. They want their checking lines. But in this playing round, I feel this is going to be a highly offensive playing round. There is going to be a lot of checking. It is going to be nasty and gritty. But these are 2 highly offensive teams, and I don't feel the 4th line usually would have as much of an impact as what it does in other playoffs rounds and stuff like that. But I feel this could be an overperforming 4th liner. Artturi Lehkonen could really be a big addition to it. They could get more minutes than what's expected, and they could really actually contribute to the Habs' success. So those are my lines. I'm sorry for the rambling, guys. I kind of slapped this video together, but I had these lines in my head for a while. I wanted to do it before I went to work. I only had an hour's time, so I really hope you guys enjoy the video, and I really hope you guys enjoy the new setup, the new background I have. I want a new hockey blanket at my local hobby shop. I'll give you guys a little quick viewing of it. It looks really cool. It has all the symbols up there on top, all the Habs symbols. Has some stuff. There's a bit of mess there. I don't want you guys to see it, but it does have Montreal up there somewhere. I'll see if I can get Montreal. But yeah, it's really nice. I really do enjoy it. I was really happy I wanted at Maverick Sports and Collectibles. So yeah, that's the new setup. That's the new blanket for the background. It has a bunch of kids playing hockey by a cabin with a fireplace in the background. We got the Michael Ryder figurine, the Turner Stevenson clock, the KK canvas, all the cards, the sticks. You got to represent the Blue Bancaroos, the Montreal Canadiens. And as much as it may hurt their draft stock this year, as much as it may hurt them getting a top 10 pick this year, if they could have success in the playoffs, imagine if they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. It would be amazing as a Habs fan. It's a catch-22. I'm on the fence about it. I may do another video about that. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And, of course, have a great day. This is Open Ice Hits with Scotty 2 Hockey. Over and out.